Welcome to the Gate 7 International Podcast, your official English source for all things Olympiakos FC and Greek football.
The first day of training is when I realized, this is why they win the league every year.
When I spoke with Kevin, if I gonna sign or no for Olympiakos, he said, "You are crazy, go direct, my friend."
Να πετύχω ήθελα να μείνω στην ιστορία του Ολυμπιακού.
I can't speak, sure.
Yeah.
Έλα μαλάκα!
Sagapou para Poli Piraeus. Είμαι Γαύρος πάντα, όλοι μαζί.
Welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International by the fans for the fans. Here we are again, ladies and gents. Big one tomorrow. Crucial tie against Apollon Limassol Champions of Cyprus. We have a special guest with us today. I'm going to bring him in a moment. Before that, Labros Sirmos is back.
I'm back.
People were wondering, Labro, where are you? Like the last few pods.
I think it's been a few as well. What is going on? Fuck me. So I did not have COVID, but I had something. I couldn't even, the game with Bratislava, I was like, I couldn't even speak. I was trying to get on. I was like, I couldn't speak. I literally could not speak. So I couldn't make it. And also I had a fever, guys. I had a fever, and the penalties, I wasn't seeing straight. I was so nervous. My heart was beating. I had a fever and I was sitting on my couch. I was like about to die. So I didn't make it. And then this past weekend, I went to Bologna in Italy to visit my good friend. But good to be back on the pod and hopefully a win tomorrow night. I'm happy to talk about everything and anything tonight. So.
All right, well, fair to say we don't want another encounter like we had last Thursday, although it's not going to extra time or penalties tomorrow. Yeah. I think we're all hoping for some kind of clear result tomorrow. In reality, we probably know it's not going to be as easy as that, but let's see. Like I said, we do have a good friend of ours coming back on the show after a while. Before we bring him on, thanks for all the support we've been getting, guys, over the last few weeks, months even. It's been amazing here at the show, bringing in more and more people. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Spread the word, spread the love across the world. Gate 7 International, bringing together Olympiakos fans from all over the planet. We are over 1,800 subscribers. Big target to get to 2,000. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And with that, I'm going to bring in Stel Stylianou from the NOCHOFTES podcast. Stel, what's going on, my friend?
Well, you got a Spanish coach now, so I can say good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Stel. Stel, before we kind of dive into it, just for people that haven't seen you before on the show, just tell us a little bit about like NOCHOFTES. What's it about? Tell us a little bit about the show.
I should really have a script when it comes to describing NOCHOFTES. Honestly, I should be reading it like I'm a telesales person. You know? What does
NOCHOFTES even mean? Like, I know what it means, but
Choftes is a Cypriot village word for nonsense or vlagias. Malakias, yeah. And it's a common word used, well, probably not so much these days because everyone speaks modern Greek. Well, most people speak modern Greek in Cyprus. But yeah, so all of this stemmed from some Instagram videos that I did 3 or 4 years ago. I was actually talking about Omonia because one of my friends, who you know, Matt, was at Omonia at the time. And I did a few Instagram videos, hype videos, as I like to call them, before games, talking about the players, talking about the opponents, coming up with all sorts of puns and just stupidness, man. And my daughter was pissing about on the Nintendo. I said, stop fucking with the Choftes, man. And she looked at me and I was like, it clicked. I was like, Omonia, today, no Choftes. Yeah. And the club reposted it on their Instagram and it kind of blew up. Next thing I know, I got like 5, 6, 7, 800, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 people following me. And I just carried on with the momentum, just being stupid and prank calling up Wales offices and getting death threats and whatever. And someone approached me from OLB, which is like, they call it Omonia Lad Bible. It's a very popular Facebook page. And they said, Stel, do you want to do a mini podcast for us? I was like, okay. So I did like a 20-minute pod, and it got about 30,000 views on their Facebook page. And then they said, why don't you do it permanently? So I started it on my own, got a few guests like Matt and a few former players, and people started to take notice because there wasn't a club-specific podcast in Cyprus before I started it. And the gimmick, so to speak, was that it's going to be in English because we got so many supporters outside of Cyprus. Why not aim it at them? You know, loads of people in the UK support Monet, Australia, Canada, and these are people that have messaged us say, I'm watching live from here and there. So it kind of grew. I've got a co-host in Roy who has become one of my closest friends. He was following me on Instagram. We used to just message each other. And he became a co-host, and then 2 became 3 when we brought Chris along. But no one really likes Chris. He's just a shit DJ. He doesn't know how to use vinyl. I mean, come on. USB. What the fuck is that? Sorry, Chris. It just grew and it grew and it grew. We got former players on, current players on. Someone from the board came on recently, a few months ago, and it just grew and grew. And it comes to a point now where I go to Cyprus and might go to a bar or I might go to wherever, and someone's going to recognize me, and we just have conversation. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, but the support that we've had in the past 3 years has been incredible, man. And through the good and the bad, very overwhelming, but fun. So that's it, really, in a nutshell.
Well, mate,
6 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry, mate.
No, but your podcast and what you do and how you do it is an inspiration for us. And I don't.
Oh, shut up, you tart.
I don't mean that.
Fucking hell, man.
I don't mean that just to like we say.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll get my balls off. Get my balls out if you want. You can play with them. I don't mind. This is in the other room, yeah.
I told you, whoever read the description to this YouTube episode, I told you, you're going to get good insights into Cyprus, but you're going to get lots of banter too. So the banter's already begun and it's 8 minutes in. All right. That's what happens when you bring...
listen, bruv, do you know what? Yeah, sorry to stop you there. I am still shocked. I'm still shocked that when we met up at that bar in Covent Garden, the girl said you got to go inside to have your drink. What are you talking about, man? Hell, go inside. Sorry, man.
Did I take my drink inside? I can't even remember.
You did, bruv. You did. Don't worry.
Right, I was a good citizen then. All right, fair enough. But anyway, look, we want you to tell us a little bit about our upcoming opponent because we don't know much besides the fact that they've won the championship last season. It's not a traditional powerhouse in Cyprus. No. So you guys recently played them as well in the Super Cup final. I know that was under some rather particular circumstances, both for you and for them. They were missing some players and so on and so forth. But just like tell us a little bit about Apollon, like their background, like how they managed to get to the top last season, and in reality, like how was it for them last year?
Do you know what, mate? It's a bit of not a difficult one to explain. I can't get my head around this club, in all fairness, because not the season just gone, the season before, they ran us close to the title. In fact, it went down to the penultimate game of the season. We had to beat AEK in Larnaca, which we did, and hope that Apollon wouldn't beat Olympiakos from Nicosia. And they drew 2-2. That kind of, before that, I gave them the nickname Gurabieres, you know, those little biscuits with because they crumble under pressure. And I was saying that all season. And I think they brought in Biseswa on loan from Balk, and he did very well for them the back end of that season. So they look like they had the potential to go on and challenge for the title the following season. But then they sacked their head coach, which is what they do in Cyprus. You know, you come close to winning the title, but they sack you. And then they brought in this German guy, Zorniger, who I believe won a German Cup with Stuttgart. I think he won the Danish League with Brøndby. And again, it was a new era at Apollon. They brought in Andre Skembri, a former striker for Apollon, from Monet as well. The technical side of things. Kirzi, who's their president, invested heavily on various players. Brought in a very exciting player called Zrandi from, he was from, what club was it? Club in Croatia, what are they called? Hajduk Split. And they brought in Mavrias, who, as you know, was at Panathinaikos before, but he was with us. He left us to go there. And they started the season well. And to be honest, they led the league for the majority of the season. But the thing is with this is that last season, while it was a very competitive campaign in Cyprus, I still don't know whether Apollon won the league or whether Apoel lost it. Because while Apollon was 7 points clear going into the playoffs, their run of results was terrible. I mean, they didn't win for 3 months. Their last victory was, I think, the 7th of February. And then the next victory was like the middle of May, I think, or something like that, when they beat Apoel. So it was very strange. It was very, very strange. I mean, you guys have your own playoff system, don't you? Where you got the top teams face each other. Is that right?
In the playoff.
Yeah. So you have playoffs. So you have like the league splits, doesn't it? Yeah. So a similar thing happens in Cyprus. So when the playoffs began, I think Apollon drew 6 and lost 1 of their first 7 games. They went from 7 points clear to like a point clear, having to play Apoel with 3 games to go at home. And somehow, by some miracle, okay, the Apoel goalkeeper made a couple of mistakes. Apollon won the game. They then beat their rivals Aris the week later and sealed the title. And their final game was against AEK, which AEK had to win to go second, which they did, and Apoel lost that buffer. So, again, I don't know whether Apollon just about crept over the line, or was it because Apoel were just so bad, wasteful in front of goal? Because don't get me wrong, Apoel started the season dreadfully. They lost their first 3 games, and then they sacked their manager, and then they brought in Apollon's former head coach, Abusti, and he almost won them the title last season. So, yeah, look, they're a good team, but another managerial change. They sacked Zorniga a couple of weeks ago after losing to, was it Maccabi? I think they lost, didn't they? They lost to Maccabi.
Yeah.
And they brought in Gadala, a Spanish head coach. And this is another strange one for me, because Gadala, his first job as a head coach was at AEK Larnaca last season, and he didn't last the full season. They sacked him in April or February, I think it was. And that was his first job as a head coach. They just promoted him from the under-19s. But Gadala has come in to replace Zorniga. I really don't know what's going to happen with this team this season, honestly. Honestly, I really don't.
Well, you know who else has experience as a Cypriot, being his first club he managed? Carlos Coberan managed Doxa Katokopias and Hermes.
Hermes, yeah. And I'll tell you what, Hermes is run by the son of a gangster.
So he enjoyed his time in Cyprus very much. Let me look. He coached all of 8 games for Doxa and 15 for Hermes before not coaching again for 3 years. So Carlos Corberan must have like a fucking nightmare when he shows up to Cyprus. He's like, oh fuck this place, you know.
I think
doesn't have good memories, I assume.
We don't travel too well in Cyprus either, from memory. But what we drew with Omonia, was it 0-0 when we came and played you lot at the Gassipe?
Yeah.
And then years ago against Apoel, we never really, I can't remember us doing well.
Didn't you lose to Anorthosis as well, if I'm not mistaken?
We lost 3-0 to Anorthosis. Mitroglou missed the penalty. Yeah. That was Ernesto Valverde's first year.
Oh my God, I forgot. I was about to ask you if that was the Ketspire era. I forgot.
No, that was Valverde's first year. Like Valverde that went off to Barcelona years later. That was fucked up. Like that was his first stint at Olympiakos, and Kokalis, the chairman at the time, it was rumored that he wanted to get rid of him. And now, of course, Valverde, anyone you talk to in red and white will say is one of the best coaches, if not the best coach ever coached at the club. Pretty much, installed the team's modern identity and style of play. So anyway, that's just a little side story there.
Well, thank you for getting us ready to lose 3-0 with fucking Apollon now, so we can shoot the fucking Carlos Corberan, Ernesto Valverde propaganda once we go into the fucking Conference League. I'm excited for that, Oh God, that's gonna be fun.
Okay. Lighten up.
Let's lighten up. Okay, so let me say a few things since I haven't been on the pod since Slovan Bratislava game. Can Olympiakos run for longer than 20 minutes? Maybe 25 minutes. The players literally cannot run. They run, and it takes them 3 minutes to recover. It's so fucking bad. It's like, what did they do at preseason? Pedro Martins was like, here's some Portuguese donuts and cigarettes. Like, was that training? I don't know. I think you guys mentioned it in the last pod. The biggest thing for me going into this game, and we can get into Apollon now, who has Dingini, who was the star striker of Atromitos, and Aris, missed in the Greek League King, is like, can Olympiakos even run? Like, Slovan Bratislava was one of the shittiest football teams I've ever seen. And Olympiakos made them look like Barcelona because we couldn't even run. It was incredible. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that. Can one more week of training, can we run? You know, can you think? What do you think, Costa? We signed De La Fuente, who is American, so he goes to the gym and runs a lot. And Juan, so he runs as well. So
yeah,
inshallah, you know, like that's Olympiakos at the moment. Like, inshallah, like, fuck's sake.
It is a little bit inshallah, but you know, not a lot can change in a week. But from the sounds of it as well, I mean, we managed to we managed to get some information about what's going on in the Apollon camp, and they, you know, we were told that they're not very well prepared either. Yeah. And I think that showed in the games that they had against Maccabi as well. I don't really think a lot about their second leg, winning 2-0 at home. I mean, they've already lost 4-0 in the first leg, and Maccabi's gone. So, all right, you know, it's going to take a lot for us to lose 5-0 in this game. So I find it interesting as well. I didn't know about Catala, that he's literally a manager that hasn't managed at a high level at all.
This is what surprised me, mate, because don't get me wrong, when he started off at AEK last season, they started very well, very, very well, in fact. And I had a feeling that they would challenge for the title. I had a feeling, but as the season progressed, the players became less and less, I wouldn't say interested, but less and less motivated. And I heard a few rumblings from a few people in and around the club that, you know, he didn't like players questioning some tactical decisions, questioning why certain players are taken off at certain times, etc. And he appears to be one of those coaches that's like, it's my way. You don't ask questions. You just get on with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at least Olympiakos' coach has a lot of experience going through in Europe and playing big games in Europe as well. So, oh, wait. No, he has no experience. He's only coached one team, seriously. But, yeah.
Well, so you don't like him then?
No, I wish him the best. I'm just like,
Lavros is back. He's back.
No, I'm back. I'm back because someone needs to bring us all fucking down to reality. We're so beyond fucked. It does not matter who we're playing. We could play like literally Panionios from like the 3rd division of Greece, and I just want to bring the reality back to everyone. Like, Apollon can be whatever the fuck they are and very easily beat Olympiakos. So that's just my opinion.
Stel, what kind of team is this like? Is it a team that likes to sit back, soak up the pressure and counter-attack? I mean, obviously they're going through a change of management, but what can we expect from them tomorrow going into the game? Like, you played against them, what was it, on the weekend in the Super Cup? Are they going to press us high up the field? Are they going to go out like lively? Like, what's your take?
Mate,
How do you see it going tomorrow?
It's difficult to say because, again, this is Gadala's first game in charge, really. I can't even remember if he was on. I don't even think he was on the bench against us, and they played the second string team anyway, and that just shows how bad we were. That they played us off the park. But I'll go by what he went with at AEK because that's the only thing I know. He goes with a 4-2-3-1 or sometimes a 4-1-3-2. He loves a holding midfielder. He loves a ball-winning, but a ball-playing central midfielder as well. At AEK, there's one called Gus Ledes. He's a Portuguese. And I think Apollon have signed a Spanish central midfielder called Recio, I think his name is. from where they signed him from? Was it Leganes or something like that? I don't know. But maybe he's the guy that's going to be in the center of midfield. But what they also love are these fullbacks that bomb forward. At Ajax, he had Rosales at right back and Simtandi at left back. And what they would do, they would pin their fullbacks as high up the field as possible, right? The holding midfielder would get the ball and just spray. But what would happen is the two wide men, the two wingers, they would tuck in to almost make, I don't know, 2 extra centre forwards, or be like inverted wingers. Now, I don't know if he's going to play that. I don't know if he's going to play that system, because the thing is, they've got very exciting wingers. They've got this kid called Va. He's 23 years old. They signed him from FC Buffalo, but this lad has got a bit of a history in the sense that he hasn't played full 90 minutes in like a year and a half, because he had a dispute with Buffalo and he just walked. He went AWOL. They couldn't find him. In fact, Costa, a certain person that you and I know, was involved in the legalities to get him out of the club. Right? So he signed in the summer. He's played pre-season, obviously, but I don't know how fit he is or if he will start, but he's a very, very tasty winger. I mentioned earlier Zrandi, the attacking midfielder. They've got Isra Cole, who I think was in Greece at the time, wasn't he? Cole, the Argentinian?
Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I can't
he was out there.
Yeah,
I forget which club he was. Probably their most promising, I say promising player. How old is he now? 23? Spoljaric, central midfielder. He's a decent player. They've got... Who else have they got?
Dingini.
Dingini's injured. I think Dingini's injured. But Dingini, in fact, he joined them a couple of years ago, the season that we won the league. And his goals kept them in the title hunt. But then he did his ACL. And that put him out for 6-7 months. He came back last season. He's a good player, but he doesn't seem to be the same player as what he was when he had that injury. Perhaps it's the age. Perhaps it's the age. He's 34 now. Interestingly enough, one of their strikers, Dabo, big burly striker, he's not in the squad. They've not included him in the European squad. They brought in this new guy called Hendi from some Slovakian team. I don't know who he is. Never heard of him before.
He played for Slovan. He was in their team last year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So they brought him in to be another striker. So again, I don't know how much
they have Dimitris Pinakas, Olympiakos, Loni.
Has he played at all still? Has he got any games?
I
don't think so.
Heard his name mentioned, to be honest, but I can't remember. Bruv.
He's a good candidate to be recalled from loan right away. He hasn't played a minute yet in any of their games.
Yeah. Well, look, they've got one of the best central defenders in Cyprus, Roberge, who was at Sunderland at one point, French fella, but he's 35.
That's the guy. His name looked familiar. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, they signed Artemata from Anorthosis, central defender. He's very good, 23 years old, a lot of potential. But there's 2 players that you probably need to look out for if you want to talk about fullbacks. So they've got Hamas, a left back, but they just signed a guy called Cabral from Sporting Lisbon, a right wing back. And someone's mentioned Mavrias, but Mavrias probably won't get a look in. But Cabral is looking very good. He's looking very, very good. And I think he can cause problems down your left. They've got their captain's a guy called Hambo, or Karalambos, Giagu. But he mostly plays, he's either a defensive midfielder or a centre-back. Under Zorniger, they went 3 at the back a lot. Gadala is probably going to play 2 centre-backs. I'll be very surprised if they go 3 at the back. The goalkeeper's very good, one of the best in the league. Jovanovic, 29 years old. So, look, they've got a good squad, but when it comes to that next stage, that next level, as we saw today with Apoel, when you're playing against your Cypriot teams, you can beat teams 2-3-0. But when you play, Europa League standard, Conference League standard, it's a different level from stamina to technical ability. Today, don't get me wrong, Djurgården are a fantastic team for Sweden, but today proved that all you need to do is outrun Cypriot teams. Outrun them, and you'll win the game. If you have more legs or more in the tank, you're going to beat them. It's that simple.
It's not great. You could say...
that goes back to your point earlier, doesn't it, Lablo?
We literally cannot run. Like, fuck's sake, by the end of the game in Slovan Bratislava, we're holding on for our lives, and the players almost turned brain dead because they were so tired. We on that final set piece, we had one central defender marking 5 people, like 2. Maybe this was it the first goal or the second goal? Remember the set piece where literally
the first goal, they were not even ball watching. They weren't looking anywhere, and the guy.
Okay, both goals look like goals conceded by players who are fucking dead tired and like can barely focus. Those were the type. Literally, they had a free kick outside the area, and instead of shooting, we had like 10 guys in the wall. They just dinked it over, and we had one person.
Was that volleyball in the box?
Yes. It was like a fucking joke. I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was there dying on my couch, like with my fever. I couldn't believe what I was watching. But literally, I don't know if anyone can fucking run on our team. God willing, what's his name? Koundé can keep it up. He was in the press. Oh my God. He was in the press conference. I don't know if you watched the press conference, Costa.
Yeah.
Surprisingly good question from Nikos Kotsis. It was like, the manager didn't pick you. Pedro Martins didn't pick you, but you seem very ready. And he was like, I was working my ass off and I got no opportunities from Martins. He did say that. He said ass off. He was like, I'm working my ass off and no one even looked at me. And now the new coach has gone in and I've been ready. It's like he knew a new coach was coming. Oh, wonder who mentioned that. Okay. Maybe the players were looking for that as well. Yeah. But fuck's sake. We'll see. Like, no one can move. Kostas Manoulas looks like he's like 150 kilos, man. Like, he does not look like a professional footballer. So, yeah. I would start Bonds, he say, tomorrow night as well. Is that a hot take? Is that...
Well, we're gonna bring up a predicted lineup in a little bit, and we can talk about that.
It's such a shit show of a fixture. It's just like 2 disaster teams like going at it. You're like, here we go. Here's 2 absolute disasters. Like, who's worse? Let's see.
Well, that's why I say
with Apollon, I mean, especially with Català when it was at Ajax, he loved to get men behind the ball. But on that counter attack, they were very, very lethal, very lethal. And as I mentioned, those fullbacks like to bomb forward and they get involved in the final third. Now, if your counter attack is better than theirs, you'll catch them out. But you got to watch out for diagonal balls as well, because that's something that he loved, especially from wide areas. You know, get the fullbacks to hit it long if they could, you know, and if they got the 2 big guys up top, it could cause you problems. I know Sokratis, you know, he was out muscled a lot in the last game, wasn't it? Was it Slovan?
The first leg against Slovan, and then a phantom injury. An injury occurred to Sokratis, and he is out for. He was out for the coming leg, and he's out for these 2 games.
I can't remember which game it was. I don't think it was in Greece. I think it was the second leg. They've got an English striker, haven't they?
Yeah, it was in Greece. Literally, he got touched.
He just pushed. Yeah, mate.
God,
I was like, come on, man.
Boy, it was so bad.
And the thing is, they say when in doubt, kick it out. And he had all the time in the world to put it out that way, give it back to keeper, and it's like, what are you doing, son? But anyway.
And then, surprisingly, he was injured in training the next day. Who would have thought? I wonder how that training. I'm not even gonna start it. Like, if he's here by the end of the month, I'll be very surprised. Let's just say that.
If Corberan came in at a few weeks prior to him coming, do you think you'd be more optimistic about it, or do you think you've had a shit transfer like Monia?
I think Corberan is the only thing keeping the club afloat right now. He literally, if he could play, he would be. You watch him on the sidelines, and he's literally trying to tell them everything to do. Like, he's literally on the pitch yelling, like trying to lift their mood. The biggest thing that saved Olympiakos was making it to full time equal, because Corberan basically fired their ass up and was like, Jesus fucking Christ, you look useless. Pick them up, and then in the extra time, we actually looked a bit decent, and then fatigue came and blah, blah, blah. But yeah.
It's nice to have someone on the bench that
he's not a dead body.
Yeah, it's exactly. He like exudes some life, and that translates to the players a little bit.
The players need it because their confidence is so fucking shot.
Shot completely. And I remember a discussion we had, like, I think a year ago, Stel. You were on our show, or we were on yours, and you asked us, like, who are the guys in the team that will like pick the team up? Like, who are the guys that the players will turn to look for leadership? And I remember for a split second thinking at that time, oh shit, that's a good question. and like, because like our leaders, they got old. Like, I mean, they like Valbuena and El Arabi, they came into the team already like 32, 31. I can't remember. Like Valbuena's 37, going 38. El Arabi's 35. Still got quality, but you can't rely on them like full 90 minutes to press and play at that European level against, you know, German teams or like any team right now. Like, and we're talking about running. And I don't know what the hell the previous manager did in pre-season. Like, all we know is that, you know, for sure the guy wanted to cram in 6 friendlies in 10 days. And before those friendlies, have full training sessions like before the game started. And the players just look completely dead. I don't know what the reasoning was, bearing in mind in November we're all going to stop and the World Cup's going to start. So like, but that's a big problem for us tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to have the legs. There are some new players that can, I think, have an impact tomorrow, like this South Korean player that we've signed. And although in Greece some people are saying he's not fully fit, is like, if he's not fully fit, then I fear. I don't even know what the words to use are for the others, because you know for a fact, like those South Korean guys, like the Asians in general, they run their socks off like in the middle of the park. So I think, you know, it is going to be one of those games in the midfield. And you mentioned earlier that they, you know, Catala, he relies a lot on his deep lying playmaker or deep defensive midfielder from the sounds of it. And you look at the players we have, like Yanin Villar, who's a guy that's really, he's found the love of the game again, playing with this manager, with Corberan, because Corberan, everything for him starts with the 6. He loves to play that 4-3-3 system that kind of changes into a 3-4-3 when a player like Villar drops back in between the centre-backs to bring the ball out. So, yeah, it's going to be a battle in midfield. I think if we get an early goal, I think it could be... I want to think that we can tidy this up. And I don't mean to underestimate the opposition, but from the sounds of it, mate, it's like an outcast team of like former Greek Super League players. and I don't mean that in a horrible way, but it's like, for fuck's sake.
No, it's understandable. A lot of players come to Cyprus, and one of them got sent off today for Apoel. Centre back, used to play for Bark.
Oh, Crespo.
Yeah, sent off in injury
paid?
time. Yeah.
Is he getting paid there? Or
if I speak, I'll be in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Why do people sign for Apoel? Does like their agent not tell them like, yeah, this contract you're about to sign is no one is going to honor this? Like, what? Yeah, no need to say anything.
I'm not saying nothing.
No.
Sorry, I'm not saying anything. Sorry, that's my cockiness coming.
Change a conversation. That's a good tactic.
Well, just a quick question, actually, though.
Yeah.
I haven't watched too much of you guys. I saw some of your game the other day. It's two questions, actually. First of all, Christian Carambo, does he always sit on the bench with the squad?
He did with Martins, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, he always has.
For me, I think that's a bit weird.
It is.
I think that's a bit weird. Odd. Why is a guy from the board or sat on the bench? I don't understand.
Paratici at Tottenham sits on the bench too.
Yeah, but I don't know why. Like, what purpose do they have?
I don't know.
Anyway, whatever.
Because if you watch some of the behind the scenes videos of Olympiakos, this was the good old days when they produced them. Now I don't know. Maybe there's staff shortages, so they don't make it. Like Christian Carambe, the manager, gives the team talk in the locker room. Costa, have you seen this? And the door's closed, and like the manager, the manager's like, "Let's go Olympiakos," and everyone cheers. And then Christian Carambe starts pounding on the door. He's not in the locker room during the chat, but he starts pounding on the door with his hand. He's like, "Oh, ale," like pounding on the door, and you're like, what is this guy doing? It's like, he's not even in the room for the team talk. He's like
glorified cheerleader, mate.
He's not even in the room though.
The pom-poms.
He's like pounding on the door, you know? Like, what is he supposed to say to the players? Like, the manager told you this, you're not doing it. He's like, he wasn't even in the room. Like, I don't know.
Give me an O. Give me an O.
I don't know.
Go team! You got the dreads as well, flapping around in the wind. Yeah. The other question I have is, in terms of the size of your team, height-wise, is it a big team? Because a lot of these Apollon players are 6 foot plus. Okay, with the exception of VAR and Gol, obviously. But from set pieces, I think they might be working on something to get you in that way.
Yeah, well, you already saw from the last game, we've eaten 2 goals from set pieces, so it's probably on the right track there. But it's a team now, Stel, that's been playing a zonal system for the better part of 4 or 5 years, and now all of a sudden, new coach coming in, they want to play man to man. And I talked to one of the players from our team, to be clear, last week, and he told me, that on the second goal, that wasn't my man. Like, I don't know why media's been blaming me and so on and so forth. So it looks like there has been some difficulties adapting. Like I said, the guy's just been at the team for 2 weeks, like not even 10 days of training. So yeah, that's a weakness, mate. And I did hear earlier today reports that in training they worked on set pieces all day today. At least at Olympiakos, both attacking, defensive. But bodies, do we have bodies? You've got big boys like Cisse and Bar, but otherwise, like Oleg Rabchuk is not bad in the air for his height, and then Avila is pretty poor in the air. So no, mate, not a great deal of height, unless you end up with a Bouchalakis in there, which I just cannot see. Cannot see that happening.
It's a nightmare.
The thing is, again, I was watching some of your game, the second leg anyway, and the amount of balls that you guys gave away in the middle of the park, and we're talking like unforced errors here. Sorry for the tennis reference, but it's almost as if they're trying Hollywood balls from the middle of the park, especially from the deep lying central midfielder. I forget his name. Was it Camara or who's the other one?
Kunde.
Him. And he's playing. He's spraying balls, and you can see what he's trying to do, but it's almost as if the players aren't on the same page as him. Yeah. And then I look at Apollon and the players that they have in the middle of the park. As I said, Spoljaric is a good player. Zrandi is a very good player. And I think that's probably where they'll hurt you the most, in the middle of the park. As I mentioned before, the wide men will get forward. But because it's Gadala's first game, I'm not sure if he'll be so brave to play the system that he knows best in a game like this, especially. So it's difficult. I think he's going to rely a lot on the central midfielder, especially using height for dead ball situations. That's what I think, anyway. I could be
hold on. Can I bring up a story when we were talking about set pieces? It reminded me of you remember the first few months we were doing this podcast, 6 months. It was like the big game with Arsenal after passing PSV, and we were being interviewed by Arsenal fans, and we were interviewing them. It's like, what's the biggest problem of Olympiakos? And we said set pieces. And then the newspapers were like, Olympiakos has been working on set pieces day and night. They will be ready. The first fucking set piece, first leg at home, literally, the whole team was falling asleep, and Gabriel jumped above everyone and made an amazing header. And it was just oh, for fuck's sake, it was just we all knew this was going to happen. And the media kept posting. They were like, Pedro Martins has identified the problems and he knows how to turn it around. Then it's just we eat 2 fucking corner goals. I expect.
Yeah, but Tsimikas was having so much joy down that left-hand side, man.
Oh, stop! You're scratching old wounds, mate.
No, we now. Have
man, he was, and against Wolves as well. He was, yeah.
But now we have a new left back who I don't know, reminds me of him. His name's Oleg Rabchuk. And if Ammonia is looking for a good left back for at least 5 to 10 million euros, which
we are looking for a second choice left back, but.
Maybe
come and give us a bit of money for Lovera, and we'll throw Rabchuk in as a freebie.
As a sweetener. Fuck, that's the worst sweetener you've ever had in your life.
Don't be surprised if we get Maxi on loan for another.
That's the only thing we're able to do right now, mate. All the players that are trying to kick off, they end up going off on loan.
Most of them, it's mid-table Turkish teams. It's here we go. It's blah blah blah. Spore is in, paying 50% of the wages and no option to buy. It's oh wow, brilliant.
Well, anyway, I want to
let's look into tomorrow.
I want to transition into something else. Before I do that, opportunity again. If you haven't done so already, guys, hit that like button, spread the word, get it out to more Olympiakos fans around the world that don't know about us yet. Hit the subscribe button. And we talked about lineup and whatnot. I think this is what we might line up with tomorrow. So you've got Vachlik in goal. There's been a lot of talk about the duo at the back. Stel, these two Senegalese lads got a lot of height. They're friends on and off the pitch. That's Pape Cisse and Ousseynou Ba. There's been some talk about Manolas potentially pairing up with.
Please God no.
Yeah, there were some press articles today, but I can't see it. I mean, Ba and Manolas have never played together. I'd be surprised if he takes that risky approach tomorrow. So I think those two will set up at the back. And Vesalko is still not available. So Avila is on the back of a pretty decent game, I thought, against Slovan Bratislava. And Oleg Rebchuk, because we have nobody else. I can't see Kudris playing tomorrow. And then the midfield trio, mate. Curious your thoughts here, Stel. How you see this midfield battle, bearing in mind what you said earlier. So I think Yann Villa is going to be the 6, bringing the ball out of defence. Pierre Koundé is in there as well, and we'll have Inbom Hwang, South Korean international. I think he'll make his debut tomorrow. He's a player that can hold on to the ball, try and dictate the tempo. Is good with the ball at his feet. Is basically, I think, what we've been missing in midfield the last, for a while now, is really a player that can hold on to the ball, get out of trouble, dribbling, and is calm on the ball. He won't just lob the ball, hoof it like Koundé did in some instances in the last game. But yeah, how do you, if that's the lineup in midfield, like where do you see the points, of, let's say, exploitation for Apollon, or where do you see like weaknesses or strengths here?
Have those 3 midfielders played together?
No,
they haven't. So again,
if Hwang doesn't start, Costa, who would start? Because Mari Camara's out.
Mari Camara's out. You got Bukhalakis.
Oh fuck!
Bukhalakis is an option.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, look, Stel's talking about height, and you don't have height in Hwang.
It's like a dead body, Costa. Like it cannot continue. It's like okay, tall. It's like that kid in PE when you're like picking last, and you're like, well, the tall guy could help on set pieces. Like that's where we're at.
No, but his confidence is completely shot. You could see that after the penalty where he scored it, and he barely even looked back at the keeper to encourage him to save the next one.
But Costa, why not 4-2-3-1 like we started with Slovan?
Because and this is the thing, like Masouras is still not 100%.
Yeah, that's the thing. They say he's injured too. They say he may not start as well.
So then I don't know. I think this is more like predicted lineup, and I think they'll give Masouras injections to play tomorrow. I honestly
probably.
do. Yeah. They'll give him injections to play tomorrow, because otherwise you're going to have Zinkernagel and Rajelovic, and that's it.
That's a nightmare.
I can't see us playing without Masouras tomorrow. I think they'll do anything they can to make sure that he plays. He travelled with the team, so I think he'll start. And if he has to come off, he has to come off. But I also think it's a bit risky, the 4-2-3-1 away from home. I get a sense that he'll. Okay. I think I like to think that Hwang can have a big influence on this game tomorrow, because I again, from the little that I've seen of him, I think that he's a missing piece in that midfield, and you've got the creative kind of ability of Mvila to bring the ball out of defense and play those through balls in behind the lines. You've got Koundé who brings some energy, and then you've got a player like Hwang who can just hold on to the ball, and that's what we were missing. Like in the second half of the Slovan game, we were literally just like, it must have been 80% possession Slovan, then 20%, and every time we won the ball back, we lost it within a pass or two. And I just think that with him, we can do better in the middle of the park. So I see him starting tomorrow. That's why I don't think it will be 4-2-3-1.
Yeah. I just looking at the team, I'm just like, it has been so nice that there's only one game a week. Like watching this shit, you look at those 11 dudes and you're just like, oh my fucking God. oh my God, we are so bad. We are so bad. That's like my main takeaway. Costa with the close-up. Beautiful. But Oleg Rehab, that left side, Oleg Rehabchuk, Yorgos Masouras, my God.
Well, look,
Usainu Ba, we're also considering is like a good player as well. We're like, oh, Usainu Ba is in form. It's like, oh my God, Usainu Ba literally gets a red card every important game Olympiakos ever played. Like, played good last week, but yeah, let's see. Agibu's a good shout. I forgot he's alive. Yeah, that's a good one.
You're talking about that left side, but
really
you know, I'm interested to see what Apollon's right side is going to look like, because if they go with Cabral as right back and possibly Bitar as right wing, I don't know how that's going to work, because look, as good as Bitar is in the Cypriot League, he's a very frustrating player to watch, because it's almost as if he tries too much. And I think this is where the psychology comes in, because it's on the European stage. A lot of these Apollon players might be thinking, this is the shop window opportunity, man. And some players like to hold on to the ball for too long. They try to be a bit smart, a bit cute. Look, I know you've got Zinchenko there, who's coming from Watford, and he's a decent player. I don't think he's a left winger in my honest opinion. I don't think the left side is his right position, to be honest. And the left back you've got, is he Moldovan or something?
Yeah,
Andorran. I don't know where he's from. I don't know too much about him, but is he good on is he flat-footed when he's running backwards? I don't know. I don't know too much about him, but Bitar likes to attack players, but he also likes to bring the ball inside. So again, it's ifs, buts, and maybes. As I said, Gadala hasn't coached this, well, hasn't managed any games yet, so I don't know what kind of system he's going to play. If you've got two centre backs, then the chances are he might go with one up front. He might go with Djanga, who's a big brute that loves to hold the ball up. He might go with Zrandi as a number 10 to break the line, so to speak. There might be extra emphasis on Spoljaric to play a more physical game against the Korean lad, because again, we don't know if he's a physical kind of player. It's but some maybes at the moment, mate. I mean, these players I've mentioned, some of them might not even play. So again, it's honestly, it's like needle in a haystack.
It's the same situation for us. It's like 3 weeks of Carlos Corberan being here, and you have no idea what to expect. I think we're so happy with the qualification last week. We are forgetting how fucking shit we are. Like, let's bring it back to reality. We are so bad. We are so bad. Also,
I don't really read that in the fan base,
like,
to be honest, mate. Like,
Masouras is good. Some guys telling me Masouras is good. Oh my God. Okay. I don't even like want to justify that with a response.
I think the fan base is kind of, at least the majority, they're aware of the situation, and you know, people are venting about it in their own different way. Some people accepting reality and others not. But anyway, we're not going to have that conversation here. Like, we're here to preview the match tomorrow, because we can have time to talk about this after the game tomorrow, post-match. Again, guys, we'll be here after the game tomorrow.
Oh Jesus, yes, we will. Okay.
Stel, we talked a lot about Apollon's kind of positives and strengths, but like, where's the weaknesses on this team? Where can Olympiakos hit Apollon tomorrow?
I think centre back area, as I mentioned, Roberge, one of the best defenders in Cyprus the past few seasons, but again, wrong side of 30. They got a new central defender, Dimado, who had a very good game against Omonia the other day. But I think the physicality of El Arabi will be imperative for you guys. A lot of Cypriot defenders, or should I say defenders in the Cypriot League, don't like defending against physical strikers. They don't like it at all. But the one thing I will tell you, and I noticed this so much, especially last season, Cypriot teams, the ball watching, honestly, it's like second nature. And I think that's probably where you can get them. The lack of concentration, the lack of focus. If you've got runners in behind, if you've got movement, especially breaking the lines between the two central midfielders, or however central midfielders and the centre backs, if you've got a lot of movement there, you'll hurt them. Balls in the box from out wide, they can't deal with them. They really can't. So there's a lot of weaknesses with Cypriot teams. And again, it goes back to what I said. The stamina levels, that could play a big part. Because while you guys are saying that, obviously your players probably might not have the legs right now, the fact that you're a Super League team and it's a Cypriot team, the fitness levels and the energy levels are going to be chalk and cheese, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but we said the same thing about Maccabi Haifa, and we're like, oh, it's an Israeli team. Maybe they're. We said the same thing about Slovan Bratislava, like, oh, it's a Slovakian team.
Yeah, but you saw what Maccabi did to Apollon, man. They tore them apart. And defensively, like, again, one of the goals, I think the second goal that Apollon conceded, it was a comedy. It was an utter comedy. I could send you some clips of the goals that Apollon conceded last season. You'll be like, wow. Like,
it's a leaky team then, from the sounds of it. It's a leaky team.
What it is, I think it's more nerves than anything, because there's this weird obsession in football these days where you have to build from the back. If you don't have the players to do it, don't do it. Don't have two central defenders in the box when your goalkeeper's going to take a goal kick if you can't play the ball out. And more often than not, they just hit it long and you lose possession. So again, I think they're going to, if they try and play cute against you guys, you'll tear them apart. If they try and be cute.
People outside Greece support Olympiakos. Yes, mate. Lots of people outside Greece support Olympiakos. What else we got here? Get ready for a bold prediction of the season, says Aris B. Our next big sale is going to be Aliagic. Okay.
Yeah.
Fetanos is back, says have to skip today's podcast so I can save it for the flight tomorrow. Have a safe flight, mate. Are you going out to Cyprus? Like, did you get a ticket? Oh, by the way, guys, for info, more than 2,000 Olympiakos fans are going to be in the Gazipe tomorrow.
How many Apollon fans? Like, how do they sell out? Its capacity?
Right. Wow.
Like, what is this like?
They're going to be at the Gazipe. It's going to be at the National Stadium because the Cypriot doesn't fit the criteria for European football, and it's a stadium that's basically it's a disaster away. Honestly, I think the stadium is owned by the Olympic Committee, which is why they still got a track around it. But I think the council or the whatever, someone is funding a new stadium, and that stadium is shared by 3 clubs. So the Cypriot is shared with AEL, Apollon, and Aris. So the new stadium is going to be shared by all 3 teams. But again, as Cyprus is, they say it's going to be built by a certain time. It's built like a year later. They spent so many millions on it. It was meant to be 15,000, but then somehow 3,000 seats got cut off. So it's down to 12,000. There's so much shit going on, man. You don't even know who's funding it. I think it's going to be sponsored by Alfa Mega, the supermarket, if I'm not mistaken. I'm probably wrong there. But so, yeah, but when it comes to their supporters, yeah, they'll probably get 7,000, 8,000, 10 at a push. They're not Omonia size. They're not Aboel size, But the fans from Limassol, they're rowdy. I will say that their ultras they're nutcases. And it'll be interesting. Well, the second leg will be interesting.
So how many people fit in this stadium? Because I remember we played you guys in this stadium, but it was of course COVID. It was like peak COVID then. Yeah. So
the guys would be probably about 12,000. Yeah, but I don't think they'll sell out.
So we have 2,000 of our own fans there, so it should be good atmosphere for us. I don't know. So
it'll probably be about 8,000 to 10,000. Probably 8,000 to 10,000.
All right, that'll be. But I just want to bring this comment up too. We're having big problems with environment or like football stadium attendance in Greece. And I thought this was a really good comment. You watch Maccabi's game with us, with Apollon, which now with Red Star. It's a fantastic environment. It's sold out. It's packed. Why, Stel, I don't know if it's the same thing in Cyprus, but like, what do you think is going on? Why people are not coming back to the stadium? Olympiakos hasn't been able to sell out a game since COVID, and there's no more COVID restrictions. The stadium is barely able to fill up, even for derby games at the end of last season. I don't know. Opinions.
3 words. There's fan card and money. So I don't know if you guys have got the fan card system in Greece. But
fan cards are a shit show. I was buying tickets for the game Sunday night. It's and try explaining it to a foreigner. It's like a mess. Like buying the fan card, working the 2002 level site, blah blah blah. So
That's
So
the worst
fans are reluctant for that because you do have a lot of ultras that might want to kick off and do whatever they've got to do, and so they don't want to submit their names and all that, and also the ticket prices. I remember the cup final, going to the cup final. I'm on it against God Almighty, Ethnikos. And when they first went on sale, they were charging fans like €50 for a ticket, €40, and the Cypriots were like, "What the fuck is going on here? Like, it's a cup final, man." I'm like, "But €50, that's Premier League prices," and they knocked it down. But I think fans are just like, "Well, I don't want to turn up and watch a shower of shit," because a lot of the time the football isn't great. And let's get it right: the time that football matches are on in Cyprus, you got a Premier League game. They might want to, or they'd rather go to I don't know, a bar to watch it with their friends. It's different. Obviously, COVID has made a difference, but
it's crazy though. It's crazy. Maybe it's the football has been so. I think also a fact of it is because Olympiakos fans feel like they've been mistreated as well. Kind of like you should see in the newspaper, they were putting up people's tweets and said like, we're calling them out on the fucking newspaper. Like the atmosphere's been really bad. Like I haven't seen a sold out stadium at Kariskakis since like, what was it, Arsenal in 2020 before COVID.
But that probably is because of the style of football that you've been playing as well, mate. It's the football, and I feel like the environment's really toxic with the fans too. Like players get booed whenever they get subbed off. The atmosphere it's really bad. Do you think if there was a proper title race in Greece, then you would have a buzzing stadium? Do you think it's like fans are like, well, we're going to show up and we're expecting to win this one? Do you think there's a huge dichotomy between the best teams and the teams mid-table and bottom?
Stel, when you said earlier about Apollon like faffing it up in the playoffs last season, that was us.
Yeah,
that was us last season. The only difference is that we were already like 20 points clear.
You were clear, yeah.
So it didn't matter. Like we didn't care a shit. It was just all right. Let's get this over the line and get it over with. But the fact of the matter is that since Martin's first won his first title in 2019, it's been the competition's been shit. And in 2019, we still blew them away because we built from the team we had in the first season and added a few pieces, and it all came together, and it was beautiful to watch. That was the season with Wolves, Arsenal, and so on and so forth. But I mean, that's a megali kuvenda. Like,
well, could it be the quality of signings that you've been bringing in? Because I remember you guys were bringing in Rivaldo, Giovanni. You're bringing all these names. Do you think that's made the difference as well? Because but obviously, like, no, bro. But if you think about it, all it takes is one or two big names to come in. I wouldn't say huge names, but at least players that you can say, yeah, I want to go watch him play. Maybe do you think that makes a difference when you're bringing in Zinchenko? No disrespect, but.
No, the thing is, mate, it's like I think if you look at this is a bigger discussion. Like if you look at modern football, how many teams do you look at nowadays and you think, oh, that's that person's team, or maybe Messi at Barcelona, and you're like, that's Messi's team, or like, oh, that's Ronaldo's team. So it's more about the team, isn't it? And like you have a couple of like star players that bring something extra, like the leaders on the pitch, like Valbuena and El Arabi were when they first came to the club. That season, we were missing a striker. Like the first season under Martins, we didn't have a ball. We didn't have a guy that could put the ball in the back of the net. And they brought El Arabi over, and he was a player that was playing in Qatar. And some fans were saying, "Oh, why the fuck are we bringing this 33-year-old from Qatar? Like he's a mercenary." Blah blah blah. The guy had scored like 37 goals in 34 matches in his last season. So instantly, even if he's playing in Qatar, like the guy knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And every season he scores 20 goals. And Valbuena, like even at age 32, 33, however old he was when we brought him in, it's like the quality, mate. It just I won't compare to Rivaldo. I think that's sacrilege, but it's close. But we're just not able to bring those kinds of players to Greece.
We can't even bring this South Korean guy in. Like, the story's now out. So Huizhou Huang is a player of Bordeaux. Nottingham Forest agreed to a deal with Bordeaux for 5 million euros. And Nottingham Forest said part of the deal is you go out on loan to Olympiakos for the season, then you come back in the summer, reevaluate. And he literally was like, "Fuck off! I'm not signing for you."
Like, if we're not playing in the Champions League, they don't want to come. Like, why would you?
Yeah, but this guy's like a 29-year-old. Like, is he really? He's now in the second division of France, and he's in the position where he's like, I'd probably stay with Bordeaux than go to Olympiakos. Like, pain.
Well, here's a question.
Pain. Yeah.
Here's a question. Then you mentioned Nottingham Forest. Do you think your owner's interest in that club has kind of put a few fans off Olympiakos? Because obviously, I'm thinking like maybe they're thinking, oh, he's more invested in them now because they're in the Premier League and making all of these signings. Spending 80k a week on Jesse Lingard, man. I mean, come on, man. Fuck me. So, is there a chance? Is there a chance they think that some fans are thinking, well, we're spending our money, but is that going back into the club, or is that going to them lot in Nottingham?
I think I might be in the minority here in terms of like, as a fan, like my view on it is very realist and very business focused. So like, when you've got two businesses and one business is bringing in 170 million in TV revenues and the other one's bringing in 30 over 4 years, just like, of course the man's going to be like investing a lot of time and money in keeping Forest up. I think in the long run, if they do manage to stay up like 2-3 years and establish themselves as a Premier League team again, it's a historic club. I think long term that becomes like a benefit for us somehow. But I don't want to get into this discussion. Like I think it's delusional. Like when people come out and say, "Oh, Marinakis is spending 170 million over at Forest," it's like he's not putting money out of pocket. And at Olympiakos, actually, like we were out the Champions League last year, no fans in the stadium. He put 10 million out of his pocket into the team so that we could balance the books. That's his money. He's not gotten money from Europa League knocked out.
I get that. I completely get that, bro.
I don't buy into that like discussion.
I get that. But what I'm saying is that there might come a point where certain supporters are thinking, well, if the owner isn't as invested in our club in terms of putting his hands in his pocket this summer, especially when you've needed a rebuild. Let's get it right. You've been saying it since I've known you guys. Like you need a clear out. There's a lot of deadwood there, and there needs to be fresh legs and fresh ideas. Perhaps they're thinking, well, if it's gone stale, why am I going to spend my money going to watch our club home and away when clearly the people upstairs aren't doing what we want them to do, even though they've done it in the past? Now it's like, well, he's got another interest. It's like being with a girl when she's got her eye on someone else, and you're thinking, well, what's the fucking point of putting up with this shit?
Yeah. No, it's a really good point, Stel, and I'm
Great
totally
analogy.
with Costa on this whole thing about like, well, they can sign all these great players and we can't. But the bigger thing for me is like Nottingham Forest wants Aouar from Lyon. He's there. They want Freuler from Atalanta. He's there.
Yeah, but Aouar's got some really.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like
man,
they want Lingard. There we go. He's there. Like it happens overnight. It's like Olympiakos has been negotiating for 2 weeks with free agent Alvaro Gonzalez, and then he fucks us off to go to like Saudi Arabia. And it's like Nottingham Forest wants this backup left back for 15 million euros. Like I'll pay, done. There we go. And then it's like Olympiakos wants a free agent on contract, and it's a saga for 2 years. Like and we have Nikos Kotsis like right story like Olympiakos is in difficult negotiations with the player, and then Alvaro Gonzalez decides today to go sign in the Middle East, and Olympiakos was never even thinking about the player. There was never an offer on the table. It's like, are you fucking kidding us? Like you were telling us like negotiations are ongoing, and he's like they weren't even considering the player. Like it's like, what are we doing here? I think the bigger issue for me is, yeah, Forest has much more money. They can buy players, but it's just the speed with which they do these transfers. It's like Forest needs a left back. It's like the left back has already arrived before they even ask for him. It's like, oh my God, they need a striker, Dennis for Watford, 20 million euros. Done. Like I understand the issue. It's just like Olympiakos is like, we haven't made we need so many signings, and we literally are like breadcrumbs a bit at the moment. But there we are. That's a bigger point. I don't want to like, but again, I don't want to like. I know a lot of people are like, oh, fuck Marinakis, he needs to pull money out of his pocket. Like, the guy's been losing money from Olympiakos for a few years now. And I think a lot of it is he's trusted a lot of bad people. Like, okay, Pedro Martins, he trusted a bit too much. Francois Modesto, he trusted a bit too much. And they signed a lot of players on huge money, huge contracts. But okay, now it's clear the team needs a rebuild. And maybe what I'm holding out for, I'm going to say it, is maybe you can't sign players without at least Europa League, right? You can, if we get past Apollon, you can say we have Europa League, and a lot of players will come for that. If you have Conference League, a lot of players don't want to play in the Greek League and the Conference League. It's like one or the other. I'm going to play in the fucking shitty Greek League, then I'll get Europa League or Champions League. But if you're like, I'm going to play fucking Conference League and Greek League, this is a shit show. So yeah,
guys, I got to jump off, but please keep going. Like, there's plenty of comments in the chat and like match predictions. I'm going to leave you with my match prediction.
Okay. We can wrap up as well. I don't want
no. Keep going. I need to go because I got family.
I'm easy, man. I'm easy.
You guys keep going. I'm going to give you my match prediction. Keep going and like comments and whatnot. 2-0 Olympiakos. Peace out. I'm out, guys.
Later,
see you, Stel. Lovely to see you.
Good
mate.
luck. Good luck with everything, brother. Good luck
Cheers,
with everything.
mate.
Hope it goes well.
But yeah,
Nice one.
But okay, Costa. That was Costa. He's gone, so I won't hold you super long, Stel, because
No,
a
man.
lot of it is
I'm
just
here all night, honestly.
a lot of it is just like me ranting about how fucking.
We can have a rant because
No,
both of us have been ranting recently, bro.
Yeah, no, I've just been. It's a calamity, and the whole Nottingham Forest thing is like every day you open up Twitter, and it's like, fuck Nottingham Forest. Why can't we sign player? Like, it's literally, you read more about Nottingham Forest on Olympiakos social media than you do about Olympiakos sometimes. And like, to be honest, I'm really fucking tired of it. I really don't have a strong opinion. Some people are like, it's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's the best thing that's ever happened. I don't have a strong opinion, to be honest. So
I'll take it we're never going to see you wearing a Robin Hood outfit.
No, not really.
No?
But the thing is, I would go see a Premier League game. Like, why not? Nottingham Forest is involved. Why not? I have nothing. They seem really nice people too, because we've become friends with a lot of people out there, and we speak with them about different things. But it's just like it's a bit of a tire. But they were in the same position as us. They were getting like Olympiakos' shitty seconds for years. And now it's kind of like, well, the rules are reversed now, guys. So,
yeah. Well, listen, as Costa said, he's got a business model. And if the club is bringing in hundreds of millions of pounds, of course, he's going to focus on that. And I think the main ambition for them is to stay in the Premier League for this season anyway, and then build on that. I don't know how far he can take them, because if you look at the amount of money that other clubs have in the Premier at the moment, like people like Newcastle and Man City and even Man United to some extent, if they get bought out, which is looking likely in the next couple years or so, we've been told.
Elon Musk or whatnot is going
to chance, no fucking chance. But you know, you don't want the gap to widen, because it's very difficult. Once you get relegated into the Championship, it's very difficult to come back up. And look at Forest. The last time they were in the Prem was 99.
Yeah,
it took them that long to get back up. Some clubs like Oldham are in the Conference, and they were in the Premier League when it first started 30 years ago. So it's tough, man.
No, and the thing is, it seems like Forest, with the signings they're making, I don't think they even want to just stay up. It's like they want to. Marinakis has talked about bringing them back to Europe, and it seems like they're spending for fun. They brought in Mope
from
French.
Brighton, yeah.
Yes, Dennis from Watford. So quite a few players, and it doesn't seem like it's ending anytime soon. Aouar, of course, who I guess has some baggage as well, but okay. So they are making moves, and it's fine. But the bigger thing is, it's just like, what are we doing? Not much. So I don't know. I was talking to Costa about this, and I think the club's plan essentially was like, with Nottingham Forest coming up, like all of our resource and attention needs to make sure they stay up. And we're in this disaster. We have Pedro Martins holding down the ship. He'll get Olympiakos the championship. He'll get us a decent run in Europe. And then we can rebalance things out next season. And then 4-0 with Maccabi Haifa happened. The team's a disaster. And they're like, oh, fucking shit. You know, so there's been a whole kind of reorganization at the club. Supposedly new sporting directors coming in. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, looking at your current situation, where do you see yourselves finishing? Because the reason I ask is because we played AEK in a friendly a few weeks ago, and look, we haven't been very good. I'm not going to lie. I was very impressed by the energy and the aggression that they showed just in a friendly. And their head coach looks like he knows what he's doing. Proper Argentinian, you know. They signed that lad on loan from Celta Vigo, scored a cracking goal against us. But their movement in the final third was scary. And I know the other team in Athens, a team that plays in green as well, they've got a very good manager who did well at Apoel.
Yes.
So,
Jovanovic is loved by their fans too. And there was a comment too. They're signing Bernard, who used to play for Everton, as well as...
the Brazilian?
Yes.
The Brazilian, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, he's coming in from... I don't really know
Forest is signing him?
No. Bernard is signing with Panathinaikos. So,
right. Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah, and so you have Nolan here saying AEK and Panathinaikos are the favorites for the league. What I will say is they don't have any European football to worry about as well. We're going to have whatever the fuck we'll have. But also, I don't think they have a lot of depth, either of them. And I feel like we say this every year. Like, Panathinaikos is coming back. They're rebuilding. AEK is coming back. To be fair, AEK has the new stadium as well. They're coming into in October or September. So it's kind of like they have this momentum. They have tons of season tickets are sold out for the new stadium. So maybe that's something that drives them to it. I really can't say. Like, I don't know. I think
what about Aris?
Aris are very good as well. They're very good. They signed Manu Garcia, Gervinho, Andre Gray, the striker of Watford. Yeah. They're a good team defensively. They're very poor, but we'll see. PAOK is a disaster. That's one thing I think maybe Olympiakos doesn't need to worry about. Surprisingly, is PAOK. I don't think they've had the best summer. Seems like there's some internal problems, so we'll see.
There's always internal problems, man.
There's internal problems. I know Savidis was in Greece for the first time in years or months, and there was an article in the papers about it. Like, Savidis is back in Greece and he wasn't arrested. But anyway, so yeah, we'll see. The main point is Olympiakos needs to go through next week and basically make the whole signings for the whole summer and all the departures in a week. Essentially, that's the situation where we're at. And I was talking to Costa about it. I think they have signings lined up and agreements with the players. So if we make Europa League, you come in, right? It's like you've signed on the dotted line. If we make it, even if, like, let's say we go in Cyprus and we win big tomorrow, I doubt it happens. Maybe the signings start coming in by that point, but I expect it by as soon as we have clarity next week. I think the signings start pouring in. But yeah,
do you know what? I think your situation is similar to Omone's in the sense that no one at the club is giving you guys any answers. The communication is minimal. And it's almost as if yeah. Well, this is it. You just need to know where you guys stand. And while you don't blame the board or whoever's making the decisions, you don't blame them for not saying anything. It's like you pay for your season tickets, you pay for travel, you pay for this, you support your club, you buy merchandise, yada, yada, yada. And yet here you are, league title winners, champions, was it 2-3 years on the bounce at the moment now, if I'm not mistaken?
Three years.
Right?
3 years.
And yet now you're at risk of finishing third. Do you get what I'm saying? Even forfeit if you know what I mean? So you're thinking, what's going on here? Like, are we going to bring in players? You've changed the manager, but has that change happened too late? You know?
Yeah, indeed.
But then again, this time next season, you might be talking about, you know, Champions League football. You just never know in football.
You have no idea. The big thing is the club has no stability at the moment, and we have. I was quite upset after losing 4-0 with Maccabi Haifa, that the club didn't come out and release a message. One, I thought they deserved to refund the tickets of the fans. That's my opinion. A lot of it is also like you pay in cash for a ticket. We've all done that. You go to the ticket booth, you pay cash, and then you grab your ticket. It's like not very clear. But personally, I would have said the next game is free. Like you don't have to pay for a ticket. Also, I wanted a statement coming out of from the board basically saying like, this was a disgrace. This will never happen again, blah, 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 blah. And that didn't happen. So I was disappointed. There was no clarity on what's going to happen. No one from the board came out and really said what is the next steps here. So, yeah. So I don't know. I think it really has let them down because the way Olympiakos really communicates with the fans is through one or two journalists. We know their names. I already said one of them. And they basically write stories about players, about what the club's doing, what's going on at training. And that's how they communicate with the fans. But it's like, this is so fucking 2003, like 1990s. Like, please be real with us. Like, come out and put a face to everything. Like, because we were told at the end of of last season, we know what to do. We're going to be in the Champions League group stage. We're fixing this. We all know the football hasn't been good. Like, transfers are coming. We're now August 17th, out of Champions League. No real good transfers. And yeah, so it's not great. And we're just going to have to see. It's going to be a rebuilding year. It's going to be really hard for the fans this season. And so I think the club just needs to kind of settle expectations. Kind of needs to set expectations. Be like, this is going to be a rebuilding year, everyone. Don't expect too much, okay? Like, we're really shit. Maybe even lower.
At least you guys can say you're rebuilding. At least you guys can say you're rebuilding because we've needed a rebuild for the past 2 years, and yet we're still sitting on our hands. In fact, we've been sitting on our hands for so long our fingers are up our asses, for fuck's sake. But anyway.
Yeah, so we had the same problem. We needed a rebuild for a while now. We've been papering over the cracks, I think you could say. So but there's just not enough time for a rebuild. A rebuild happens in April when the season's over, or in May when you're getting into the preseason. It's August 17th. Like, what rebuild are you going to do? I guess with this new World Cup, what you can do is bring in a shit ton of players, sell players, and be like, we're going to hold on for dear life this first half of the season and basically run a second training camp in October, November. And that's going to be a season reboot. You know what I mean? I think that's something you could do. But someone needs to offer clarity.
There's got to be some positives, man. There's got to be some positives. Surely.
That's the positive. The positive is that there's changes in the backroom staff. Modesto is gone, thank God. Pedro Martins is gone, thank God. And now we have Fournier, not Evan Fournier of the New York Knicks, but Fournier from OGC Nice, the football club in France. He's coming in to be the new technical director of the club. And Carlos Corberan seems quite competent. He seems quite good. We're going to have to see. And let's see.
Well, look, he did a very, very good job at Huddersfield. Don't forget, he didn't spend a penny, man.
Yeah, no, I have, as much as I was trolling him a bit, like, I personally think he's a very good, very, very good coach. I'm excited to see what he does. So, yeah.
There you go.
But we'll see.
There's a comment here about, Cypriot football and the lack of money. The thing is with Cypriot football, the money is coming in thick and fast now. Buffon, I've got a very rich owner. In fact, they appointed Mendieta as their sporting director recently. Aris in Limassol have got a very rich owner. Apoel, fair enough, they've got a big financial problem, but they're finding money from somewhere. Omonia, okay, we're still in debt, but the debt is being controlled. I'm not to see hardly ever have any financial difficulties. So the money is there, and I think Cypriot teams now are looking at their structures and thinking, we really need to invest in youth, but yet still bring in players who can perform regardless of their age. And I think long gone are the days where we're signing 35, 36-year-olds regularly, you know.
But you guys seem to be able to do it. At Ammonia, you guys had a few youth candidates, including Luiso and
but
Johnny,
you know, a lot has happened. Yeah, well, Johnny's has gone to MLS.
Yeah, I know, but it seemed like the model was being kicked off by Henning Berg there, and you guys.
No, it started before. It started before Berg, because you know we had a big restructure 5-6 years ago. Jesper Fredberg came in from Denmark. And he and the rest of the boys there, they restructured everything, and they figured, well, you know, we're one of the biggest, if not the biggest club on the island. We really need to take advantage of it. And they worked hard. And we've got a whole heap of youngsters coming through now. I mean, our first team squad, we've got how many kids from the academy? Crikey, Loizu, Sava, we've got Zefki, we've got Asimeno, we've got Humboldt.
He's also...
we've got Gagu as well. So there's a lot of youngsters breaking through, but again, you can't stay in Cyprus, you know, later than 1920, because your development will be stunted. And I think that's the problem that we've got with Loizo at the moment. He wants to go. There's been an offer from a Dutch team. All right, the club don't feel the offer is good enough, but I don't think they're looking for realistic money. I don't think the valuation is realistic enough. And if there is a Dutch team that's come in for him for, let's say, $1.5 million, let him go. I mean, we pride ourselves on our youth academy. It's like I said on our podcast. Granted, I understand the business side of things where you want to sell the player for as much as you possibly can. I mean, Loiza's dad went on Facebook Live to talk to someone, and he said that Henning Berg told Omoni to keep the lad for as long as possible because he'll be a £5 million player. We'd be lucky to get 500 grand for him at the moment, you know. So what they're doing is they're shitting on the youth staff that been coaching these players, bringing them through, and you're shitting on them because you're saying, okay, well, we want to promote youngsters and talk about us having the best academy on the island, but when teams come in for them, we don't want to sell them for cheap because they're Cypriot players. Since when did the Cypriot player ever leave Cyprus for 3, 4, 5 million pounds? What, Sotiriou? How much did he leave to go to Copenhagen for? $1 million, $2 million? Yeah. Pretty much it. The rest of them, you know, you got to be realistic about these things. Exactly, man. It's just greed, man. It's greed. That's what it is. It's greed.
But what you need to do is you need to set the base for transfers. And I thought Olympiakos did this really well in the past. They would let players go for, even Chimikas, they let him go for 13 million euros. You kind of let them go even though it's not the highest price you would want. And you build up a base and those guys do well. And it's like, oh, where did this guy come from? Oh, he came from Olympiakos. Let's look at other players from Olympiakos. And you slowly start building a base of players who've gone abroad and done something, right?
But you've got academies throughout the world, though, don't you? Don't you have an academy in America?
You can ask Ari. He's like on the board of the Washington, D.C. Academy of Olympiakos. Yeah, so there's multiple. There's an academy in Canada. There's academy in New York. There's academy in Chicago. There's one in Washington, D.C. And that's just the U.S. There's academy in Germany and Dubai. There you go. So you're casting the net wide. You're casting the net wide. So not only are you getting potentially players from other countries, you're also potentially getting a fan base from other countries. And again, this is what goes back to what I said on our podcast months ago. When Johnny's left to go to MLS, instead of sitting down with Sporting KC and say, right, you've got one of our players, come and look at our academy. Let's do some business together. Let's have an affiliation or some kind of collaboration where we can send some of our teenagers, 14, 15-year-olds to the United States, and they can train with you guys for a bit. Not work, obviously, because of green card issues or whatever you call it. But you have that kind of relationship where at least you can showcase some of your talent so that in a couple of years' time, if they have developed to a certain level, that club can come back and say, right, this player, how's he getting on? We see how he's doing. Well, let's do some business. But they don't think of the bigger picture in Cyprus, man. They're so backward. And again, it frustrates me because the clubs that have got foreign owners
They're light years ahead of everyone else, from social media to marketing to PR to everything. Whereas our club, you know, American business owner, Cypriot, hands on his ass, man. Like, come on, man.
It's PR, social media. Don't get us started. Like, it's something we're quite passionate about. Also, marketing, also language, using English, using French, using Spanish, doing things like that. That's something we honestly, like, one of our opinions is like they need to hire 5 to 10 25-year-olds at Olympiakos media department and just like have them make graphics, have them make content in English, have them do interviews with players. You know, you see like any modern club and they have like a journalist on the club who like goes up and like interviews the players like in training. They're like, hey, how's training been? They upload it on the team's YouTube so fans can see like how players are and blah blah blah. Olympiakos can't even produce like an injury list. Like, we find out players are injured from like the 2 journalists I mentioned. So it's like, that's the injury list. But
anyway. Well, mate, do you know the funny thing is, right? I was banging on about Omonia's YouTube channel for months and months. And then I completely lost my shit a few weeks ago. It was during pre-season. And I said, they can do so much with their social media. All it takes is to sit down 2 players and just ask some funny questions, you know. Who
or give them
like
the whiteboard or something, be like,
yeah,
blah, blah,
you
blah.
know?
And then they write it, and then it's like, okay.
And, you know, people were messaging in the chat saying, you know, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. You know, other clubs do it. Why not us? Lo and behold, a couple of days later, I wanted to not release one, but they released 2 videos with the suggestions that we made, not exactly the same content, don't get me wrong, but with the same premise. And you're thinking, why didn't you do this? Like last year or the year before when we won the title, you could have done that. You could have done it when we won the cup. But, you know, we win the cup and the club go on LinkedIn and they put one image, oh, we won the cup. But then we get a sponsor with a liquidity company, and they do a 12-minute video with a tour of their office talking to this. I don't care about this shit. And you're slapping the fans in the face. Because instead of, you know, it's ridiculous, man.
It's basic PR too. I remember when we played PSV Eindhoven, you know, like, it's just, it's like very different to the social media. And it's a big deal. People say, oh, it's no big deal, who gives a shit? Like, it is a big deal.
It's a huge deal, man.
It's in football and modern football. Social media, PR, marketing your players, marketing personalities is a really big deal. So I know it's a bit off topic what we're talking about, so maybe we'll end up by going back.
It's not off topic because it goes hand in hand with what you said about the progress. And
even though you look at Nottingham Forest as PR, like Nottingham Forest does fantastic PR, media relations, interviews with players, new signings, graphics, videos. They announced Freuler with this completely like beautiful videography. And it's like, why don't we do something like that at Olympiakos? For Conrad de la Fuente, he came into Olympiakos like, let's do something cool for him. But they ask him one question and that's it. Anyway, I don't want to go on all night. It's a work night. I also have work tomorrow morning.
Well, just don't mention Thomas Partey to Forest's new head of media. Let's not go into that.
I don't. Yeah, honestly, I don't know anything about Thomas Partey. Olympiakos takes up most of my day. So, Stel, I'll ask you for your score prediction for tomorrow and overall for the tie. You think Olympiakos goes through? You think they're good enough at this point?
I haven't seen enough of Olympiakos. I saw the bits of the first leg against, was it Bratislava? Was it you played? I can't remember.
Slovan Bratislava, yeah.
Yeah. I saw bits of the first leg at that Garaskagi, and you guys were abject to say the least. Second leg, you guys played much better, I believe, anyway. There seemed to be a system there, especially defending. I noticed that you guys were kind of defending in a 4-4-2, but getting forward in a 4-2-3-1 or even a 4-3-3. So you can see there's some structure being implemented there. I don't know if there's been any behind closed doors matches have been played by you guys to get some fitness up. No, nothing like that. Okay, fair enough. No. But given that Catalan's just come in at Apollon, again, I don't know what kind of system he's going to play. They played like a 4-4-2 against us. He could play that against you. Again, still with their injuries that they have, the new signings that they have, it'll be very difficult for me to say I'll put my hat on this result. But since you've asked, I'm just gonna say I'll say 1-0 Olympiakos first leg and 2-0 Olympiakos second leg. Again,
I'm surprised you said, because I just can't see Olympiakos keeping a clean sheet, like, because the players can't run after the 75th minute and they're mentally so tired they can barely do anything. So you saw the goals of Slovan Bratislava, and they're not goals like build up, beautiful play. It was literally just like tired legs, tired minds, even like don't even close out, don't even mark. So I just don't know how we keep a clean sheet, to be honest. We'll see.
Stranger things have happened.
So I'm going to say Olympiakos. I'm going to just say similar results, Slovan Bratislava, maybe 2-2. I think El Arabi has so much class. And then I think we pick up another goal off of just them not being very good, maybe. And I think we leak goals. I think Olympiakos leaks a ton of goals. So I think we concede 1 or 2 at least tomorrow. So
wow,
that's all I've got.
Okay.
That's all I've got.
Is the first leg in Cyprus, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow night in Cyprus. Yeah, hopefully everything goes well. Hopefully not everyone is mad because of my negativity. I'm back on the podcast, so that's what you get. I know Costa times squared were like ready to pop open the champagne after beating Slovan Bratislava, which fair enough was a huge achievement given like the manager had been around for 2 weeks and we looked like shit. So fair enough, but I'm bringing us back to reality. Hopefully we see something from Olympiakos. Carlos Corberan has another week with these players. Hopefully he's got some more ideas. And really, that's it, guys. Podcast's gone for an hour and a half. I think the longest preview we've ever done, really. So on that note,
have me on, mate.
Yeah, no, but it's fair. We got into some other conversations, interesting stuff. And on that note, guys, thank you so much for sticking around and listening to the Gate 7 International. As always, if you can, please do like and subscribe if you like the content. We're going to be back tomorrow night. Maybe you hit the subscribe, you hit the bell, so you remember to join us tomorrow night live or in all of the podcast platforms. Some of you on YouTube may not know that, but all of these episodes go live on podcast audio. To the people listening on audio, good evening, good morning. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, drop us even a rating on those platforms. I know Spotify and Apple lets you review podcasts. That also helps us. So please do that if you listen on audio platforms. And on that note, good night, everyone. Hopefully we're talking tomorrow night after an Olympiakos win, God willing, fingers crossed. As I said earlier, inshallah. Talk to you guys tomorrow. This was the Gate 7 International Podcast. Ciao, ciao.